Hello and welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy to be with me. Don't you love my sign? Jesus saves. You know, when I was Muslim, I used to, there was a hotel. I was living in Lodi, California, and there was a hotel, and it was near a place where my dad used to always go buy stuff, an Arab store. And I used to sit out in the car and look at the hotel, and somebody spray painted "Jesus Saves" on it, and I used to always wonder, what does that mean? Jesus saves. What does he save from? And I always wondered about that. So I love that phrase, Jesus saves. So welcome from Kenya. Are you related to our former president, Barack Hussein Obama? God bless you, King of Mathematics, KON. All right, God bless you, Andrew Martin. Hello, Tiger. God bless you. Yusuf, God bless you. Yosef. Don't know if it's Yusuf or Yosef. God bless you. And yeah, you know what? I wanted to show you guys a video first before we start. This is an Arabic video, but I'm gonna translate it for you. I'm going to translate this. Oops, let me put this here. I saw it and it kind of cracked me up a little bit. Okay. This guy cracks me up. And he cracks me up because he reminds me of my some of my relatives. He reminds me of my uncles. So I like this guy, but this guy is talking about Mamdani, and he's not really happy. He's saying, look at Mamdani, because look what Mamdani is wearing, you guys. Mamdani is wearing a yarmulke, a Jewish kippah. You know, this is the hat that the Jews wear. And this guy right here, he's a Muslim, and he's saying, what kind of Muslim is this Mamdani? So he's let me see if I can go to the part. He cracks me up.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. زهران ممداني أو ممداني، لا يهمني الاسم. مهدي الإخوان المفسدين.
He says Mehdi. He calls him Mehdi. El-Ikhwan. He says like Mehdi, the guidance for these brothers.
الذين قد حملوا حملات ضخمة جدا لتلميعه في أواسط المسلمين.
Who held this great weight in order to shine among the Muslims.
أعدوا انتصاره ليكون عمدة نيويورك.
He was victorious to become the mayor of New York.
أعدوه انتصارا إسلاميا وفتحا إسلاميا.
And it says Adu is like the enemy of Islamic victory, or as an Islamic invasion. It's like
معلومات هامة جدا في هذا الفيديو.
there's many important information in this video.
وانخدع بمثل هذا. فهذا
And deception like this.
هذا شبيه بإلهام عمر.
It's like Ilhan Omar, you know, Ilhan.
الديمقراطية.
She's democratic.
المسلمة زعموا.
They say that she's a Muslim.
والتي قد تزوجت أخيها.
And she married her brother.
داعمة للشاذين،
And she supports homosexuality.
وهذا لديه طامات أكثر بكثير.
And this new guy, he's got way more than that.
من إلهام عمر.
More than Ilhan Omar.
في هذا الفيديو
In this video,
سأستعرض معكم مجموعة من الصور والفيديوهات والحقائق عن هذا الإنسان.
I'm going to show you some videos and truths about this human being.
الغريب العجيب.
It's strange and amazing.
فقد جمع كل الطامات بين جنبيه. الآن كما سنشاهد الآن في هذا الفيديو يجتمع مع يهود نيويورك حتى يباركوا له ويشكرهم على دعمه للوصول إلى.
In this video, he's gathering with all the Jews of New York and thanking them for their support to help him win the election.
أن يكون في منصب عمدة نيويورك، فهو مدعوم من اليهود أصلا.
He is supported by the Jews originally.
فدعكم من الشعارات الرنانة.
So leave all the rumors.
نتابع ولا يهمني الترجمة. أريد
And I don't even care about translation.
منكم أن تنتبهوا إلى انبساطته
Look at their happiness
وفرحته
and his joy
مع إخوانه اليهود
with his Jewish brothers.
والطاقية الصغيرة
And he's wearing that little hat on his head
التي يلبسونها على رؤوسهم.
that Jews wear on their heads.
هؤلاء اليهود يلبسوها أيضا.
The Jews wear this.
نتابع.
And they're laughing. Ha ha ha.
Imagine we found out that he's Jewish. He was Jewish, his grandmother was Jewish. So, Mr. Mayor, we might find out very soon that don't hang out with me. So, welcome to our community. And I'll tell you about what I didn't think. Not when your numbers were up, when Adams dropped out. Thursday, I like that.
It's a little bit hard to understand what's being said. But,
This is thank you for coming.
حقيقته ها هو حسابه في تويتر زهران
he said this is what it says on Twitter.
ممداني. يقول في تغريدته: أنا من حبي وصل بي الجنون بمن؟ بحبه للإسماعيليين
Says he loves the Ismailis.
الكفرة الإسماعيليين الخميني.
They are they're kafirs. Among them was Khomeini.
والإسماعيلية والنصيرية أجمع أهل العلم على كفرهم وخروجهم من الملة، وهو يعشق الإسماعيليين.
He loves the Ismailis.
ولكنه في الواقع 12، يعني ماذا؟ يعني
reality, he's a 12er.
رافضي شيعي.
He's a Shiite.
هذه ليست طامة، الطامة بعد قليل إن شاء الله.
He says this isn't the big thing. The big thing is coming up.
ستصدمون.
You will be shocked
بكل ما تحمل الكلمة من معنى.
with every meaning of the word.
After all,
اسمعوا
the
الآن.
conventional
Listen to this guy.
wisdom would tell you that I am far from the perfect candidate. I am young, despite my best efforts to grow older.
ما زلت شابا وأسعى لأن أنضج وأكبر.
He's translating what Zohran Mandani is saying.
I am Muslim.
لا تحتاج إلى ترجمة. يقول أنا مسلم. طيب بعدها ماذا يوجد؟
I am a democratic socialist.
أنا ديمقراطي اشتراكي. كيف جمعت الإسلام مع الاشتراكية لا أدري.
Okay, I'm a democratic socialist. And this guy that say, how do you bring Islam and socialism together? I don't know.
الاشتراكية نظام كافر.
Communism, it's a heretical order.
والفرق بينه وبين الشيوعية قليل في بعض الجزئيات.
And in some ways, it's not far from Shiite religion.
انتبهوا بارك الله فيكم. الاشتراكية كفر.
They are unbelievers.
أنا مسلم ديمقراطي اشتراكي.
He says he said that he's a Muslim, a democratic socialist.
ولن أعتذر عن ذلك.
And I don't apologize for it.
most damning of all, I refuse to apologize for any of this.
لن يعتذر، يرفض أن يعتذر على ذلك. طيب، ما بعده هنا توجد تغريدة. البعض الآن
Then you find him out with the Gay Pride Festival.
ينتقد ما هو مكتوب. زهران ممداني من أب 12 رافضي ومن أم هندوسية.
He's from a father who's a Shiite 12er and his mother is Hindu.
هذا كلام شخص كاتبه، سنأتي بالحقائق بعد قليل. ليس بمسلم كما يروج له حمير الرافضة، وفوزه على صهيوني لا يمنحه الإسلام، فكليهما أعداء لله ولرسوله، وليس كل من ادعى الإسلام كان مسلما.
Says not everybody who says they're a Muslim is a Muslim.
وهو في مسيرات مع من؟
He's with
مع
the
المتحولين جنسيا،
he's the doing a parade with the Gay Pride Festival
ويدعم الشواذ. هذه
in the streets.
حقيقته، هذه
This is his truth.
هي حقيقته. الصورة لا تكذب، يعني توجد امرأة نسأل الله العافية، وربما هي رجل متحول جنسي، يعني الأمر بسيط.
You know, and see that woman, she might be a man who just had a sex change.
ما أريد هنا أن أستعرضه قبل أن أستعرض تغريدات الإخوانجية، أريد أن أذهب إلى عناية، وهي ممثلة ومخرجة. هذا هو مهدي الإخوان المفسدين. لماذا أنا
They say he's the Mahdi, the Mahdi of the brothers,
أقول مهدي الإخوان المفسدين؟
the brother of the guidance to the corrupt brothers.
لأنه وفقا لتغريداتهم في دعمه ونصرته،
Because he's receptive to their support.
مثلا
For
والله
instance,
لا أريد أن أقرأها بصراحة، أنا سأستعرضها جميعها، ومن أراد ليوقف ليقرأها، لأنه ستأخذ منا وقت ضخم جدا.
okay, he's going to read something by him. I'm not going to go listen to all of it.
مثل هذا 50,000 مسلم سني في غزة، هذا هو الانتصار الضخم، أن يأتيك واحد مثل هذا رافضي.
Okay, first of all, he's a rejectionist. That's kind of like a Shiite.
ديمقراطي،
He's democratic.
يساري،
He's leftist.
اشتراكي،
He's a socialist.
أبوه شيعي،
His father is Shiite,
أمه هندوسية،
and his mother's a Hindu,
وزوجته هندوسية،
and his wife is Hindu,
وعايش الدور. يقول لك أنا مسلم.
and he says, I'm a Muslim.
كيف مسلم أنا لا أدري
How's he a Muslim? I don't know, to be honest.
صراحة يعني، ولكن خذوا خل كما يقال. استوقف.
Okay. Anyway, I kind of like this guy. I don't know. He reminds me of my relatives, but I thought it was so funny, man. Yeah. He talks like a Palestinian, you know, with that type of an accent. And so, plus the hatta that he's wearing, you know, on his head, that is quite often worn by Arabs in the Holy Land, the white one. My dad used to wear one like that. So anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, you know, I've been talking about different, how clear the Quran is so clear. My goodness, the clarity is unbelievable. It's so clear. The Quran says this about itself. It says, Kalam Allah al-Mubin, the words, the clear words of Allah. It is so clear, so full of clarity and clearness. And there's this verse in 6:114. And yesterday I showed you a bunch of verses that say this. This isn't the only one. This is one of them. When it is he who revealed to you the book fully detailed. So here it's fully detailed and clear and detailed, fully clear and detailed. Here's another. It says, It is he who sent down to you the book with verses that are precise. They are a foundation of the book, and others unspecific. Okay, so even though it's so clear, Allah very clearly says some of the verses are clear and some are ambiguous. Muhkam, mutashabih. Those are the two kinds. I mean, that already is, the Quran is blatantly, and the reason, you guys, that it says these kinds of crazy things is because Muhammad got in trouble for a lot of the things in the Quran that don't make sense. There were things in the Quran that don't make sense. And rather than just admitting, hey, I'm making it up as I go, he says, no. Allah sent down some verses that just cannot be understood. And if you try to understand them, you got a disease in your heart. Okay. And then, so you got that muhkam, mutashabih, you got the clear and the ambiguous. And then you have the abrogated and abrogator. You got verses that are abrogated and verses that are abrogatory, So some verses, because what happened is Muhammad in Mecca said some nice things about other people, like you can have your religion, I have mine. But then when he got to Medina, became powerful, he changed it to, kill everybody who doesn't, kill the mushrikeen, the polytheists, and those who associate others with Allah, and fight them wherever you find them, those who don't believe in Allah on the last day. And so the change, why was there this change? Muhammad explained the change very simply, that Allah changed it. He has verses that he abrogates. So some verses are abrogated, and there's a ton of verses that are abrogated. That means they don't apply no more. The one verse, 9:5, which is called the verse of the sword, 9:5 in the Quran, abrogates like 127 peaceful verses from the Quran. It just abrogates them. Just don't apply no more. So you got the clear and ambiguous verses, you got the abrogated and abrogator verses, and so you got all of these adjustments Muhammad had to make to the book, because he was just making it up as he goes, but he was getting caught. And whenever he got caught, he just says, oh, Allah did this. And then he came up with the 7 haruf, the 7 modes of the Quran, because, people are realizing, wait a minute, you quote it here one way, and then somebody else quotes it a different way. And Muhammad says both are right, because the Quran came down in 7 different modes. And so, he just came up with all these very wacky explanations for all of the inconsistencies and contradictions in the Quran. And so, anyway, but the Quran still says that it is a very clear book. It is a very clear book. Yes, it is so clear. It's amazingly clear. And here's the verse. It is a book fully detailed. Not only is it clear, it is detailed. Mufsalan. In Arabic, the word mufsalan, very clear, very detailed. It has everything and it's detailed about everything. The Quran is detailed about everything. The word in Arabic, and I was on a live stream with Adam Seeker today, and it's all things. Kulli shay, everything. The Quran tells you everything you need to know about everything. Everything. You got a problem with your Microsoft Windows, the Quran has an answer for you. You got a problem with a schizophrenic uncle, the Quran has an answer for you. And it is very clear. It says fully detailed for everything, as everything. Okay. Here, Andrew Martin has ahruf as songs, Quran contradiction. The ahruf is, it's so funny watching Muhammad come up with come up with all these different explanations to make up for the fact that he just blew it. He just made mistakes, and so he just would come up, he would throw Allah under the bus and say, Allah's the one that did this. So Grace, hello, Angel CRC, God bless you. Hello, daughter Waraka, and God bless you guys. So anyway, so I've been looking at some different verses in the Quran that are supposedly clear as mud. First of all, there's this one, 36:14. And 36:14 talks about a city where Allah sent two messengers. He sent two messengers to the city, and then he supported those two with another one. And the problem is, the Quran doesn't tell you the name of the city, and it doesn't tell you the name of the first two messengers, and it doesn't tell you the name of the third messenger. And so even though it's a very detailed book, it doesn't have these details. And so because they don't have the details, the Quran, the Mufassirin, the guys who do the exegesis of the Quran and explanations, they come up with a bunch of different excuses, a bunch of different explanations of who those three men are. And a very common belief is that those three men were the Apostle John, the Apostle Peter, and the Apostle Paul. So that in the Quran, 36:14, some believe it's talking about the Apostle Paul. But the problem is the Quran doesn't really say so, because it doesn't have their names. It doesn't have this detail that it claims to have. Then we talked about 17:1, which is the verse that the night of the Mi'raj, Laylat al-Mi'raj, the night of the magic donkey ride, but the verse says nothing about a donkey ride. It says nothing about Muhammad, says nothing about Jerusalem, says nothing about Mecca. It's supposed to be that the donkey ride was from Mecca to Jerusalem. This has created, the most dangerous situation in the world for the city of Jerusalem because of the way the story that they came up with to explain this verse is that Muhammad was in Mecca, and then this big donkey with wings comes to him, and he rides on this donkey, flies to Jerusalem real fast with wings, and it has the breasts of a woman, it has the hair of a woman. Sorry, you guys, this is what the hadith says. And the donkey was led by Jibreel, because he doesn't have inner GPS, and he's led to Jerusalem, where he goes into Al-Aqsa Mosque, which miraculously had not yet been built. And so anyway, all the details in this verse are not there. And so today we're going to look at another verse that is extremely detailed. Okay, it's 4:3, and I got to be honest. This is some of the verses of the Quran are. Hello, Houston. God bless you. See, stream on Reason Answer was about messenger dilemma and contradiction between the Quran says can be messengers versus messengers. yeah. It is really, it's almost hilarious, these issues. But today, some verses of the Quran are humorous, they're funny, but some of them are sad. For me, they're sad, because I've got a lot of Muslim relatives. I got lots of Muslim, sisters, aunts, nieces, and some verses in the Quran make me very sad, just because I know that these verses are used against women, and this is one of them. This is one of those verses that is just like, what the heck is this talking about? And here is this verse. It's chapter 4, verse 3 of the Quran. And it's very strange. It says, وَإِنْ خُفْتُمْ إِلَّا تَقْسِطُوا فِي الْيَتَامَى فَانكحوا ما طاب لكم من النساء مثنى ثلاث وربع. Okay, so if you, I want to go to one that's actually a little bit better. It says, if you fear that you will not do justice to the orphans, then marry the women you like in twos, in threes, in fours. But if you fear you will not be able to maintain equality with them, then just one woman. Or bond women that you own. Your boy. So you got three groups of women here. You got the orphan girls, you got the women that you want to marry, and the bond women. You got all these different groups of women, and you can have them. You can have it all. Okay, here's another version. And if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you now here they add a word, of other women, 2 or 3 or 4. In the Quran, it's not 2 or 3 or 4. It's 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Let's see this one. It says, but if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry, again, they add the word, other women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. If you fear that you will not deal fairly with the orphan girls, you may marry whichever women seem good to you, 2, 3, or 4. If you fear that you might not treat the orphans justly, then marry the women that seem good to you. And if you fear you'll not deal fairly by the orphans, marry of the women who seem good to you, 2 or 3 or 4. If you fear you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so my question is, what is the relationship of these orphan girls to these women? What's going on here? Why do they have these orphan girls? Are the orphan girls the women? Do they consider the orphan girls the women? What's going on here? Who are these orphan girls? What's the connection of these orphan girls to these women that you can marry? What is the connection? Are the orphan girls the women? Or, what's going on in this verse? I know it's very clear, and I'm just a stupid kafir. Well, I'm worse than a kafir. In the book, I'm a murtad. You guys have heard the word murtad because Adam Seeker calls himself the favorite murtad, which I have great disagreement with him about it. And you can tell him that. So I tell him all the time. But, so what's going on with here? What's going on with these orphan girls and these women? So I thought, you know what? Let's go to the experts and see if they can help us, because the Quran is very clear and detailed. Very clear and detailed. All right, so let's go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and see what some of these experts, Islamic, if orphan means prepubescent, then this is another child marriage verse. It is prepubescent. It is about prepubescent. Let's look at what some of the people, how they try to explain this. This is from Al-Maududi. Now, Maududi is one of the experts, more modern. I think he's still alive. Oh, excuse me, you guys. Okay, look what he says. It says, Hadarat Aisha. Hadarat means like the respectable, the honorable Aisha, says that this was revealed to remedy an evil that was prevalent in the days of ignorance. And to tell you the truth, you guys, evil didn't start until Islam started. In the land of ignorance, in the time of ignorance, women had a lot more rights, as evidenced by Khadija, the wealthiest woman in Arabia. as evidenced by her rights that she had, and the fact that so often the people of Quraysh, they were better than Muhammad morally. You know, they were like disappointed in the fact that he married his daughter-in-law. They were, they thought that Muhammad had a devil. So, when it always talks about the days of ignorance, it makes it feel like it was this cesspool of immorality. But in reality, it seems like things were better before Islam, especially for women. But anyway, here Muhammad is, saying that this is evil that was present in the days of ignorance. The guardians of the orphan girls used to marry them for their wealth and beauty, with the intention of keeping them under their power, because they had no one to defend their cause. Then they treated them unjustly without any fear. Therefore, when they became Muslims, they had misgivings upon marrying orphan girls. Accordingly, the Quran advised them to marry women of their choice, other than the orphan girls in their charge, if they feared that they would not be able to do justice. Okay, so here it's saying that because these orphan girls, if they're orphans, they probably inherited their parents' money, so that they had money, and they were probably very young and attractive. And so they're saying here that when the men lusted for these young girls, instead, they were being told to marry these other women. But the problem is the Quran doesn't say other women. It just says marry. If you feel you're not going to be fair with your orphan girls, plural, then marry what you want, 2 or 3 or 4. And it kind of sounds like it's saying marry those girls. That's what it kind of sounds like. Okay. But this guy's saying no, marry other women. Okay, so trying to dig themselves out of this hole. Okay, let's look at what Ibn Kathir says. And if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry. And here again, Ibn Kathir adds in parentheses the words other, but it doesn't say that in the Quran in Arabic. It doesn't say it in Arabic. Women of your choice. 2, Allah commands, when one of you is a caretaker of a female orphan, and he fears that he might not give her a dowry that is suitable for women of her status, he should marry other women who are plenty, as Allah has not restricted them. Okay, if anybody understands that, please help me understand. Okay. And this is from Al-Bukhari, recorded that Aisha said, a man was taking care of a female orphan, and he married her. Although he did not desire to marry her, the girl's money was mixed with his, and he was keeping her portion from her. Okay, so this is what Bukhari is saying, that the reason for this verse is because a guy married his orphan girl who had money, and he mixed her money with his. Okay, so it's another explanation. This is Al-Bukhari saying this. All right, so okay, let's look at the next one. This is okay. Let's look at what Al-Bukhari. Okay, I just read that. Okay, now this is Ibn Abbas. Now this is Muhammad's cousin. It says, for if you fear that you will not deal fairly by the orphans, okay, all right. And if you fear that you will not deal fairly by the orphans, and if you fear that you will not preserve orphans' wealth, you should also fear not dealing fairly with women in relation to providing sustenance and apportionment. This is because they used to marry as many women as they like, as many as 9 or 10. Now listen to Ibn Abbas. Now this is Muhammad's cousin. So, he's probably the one who's closest to what the real meaning of this is. But I tell you what, this is really bad. The logic here, there is no logic. It's kind of like these words are here, been stuck together like this, and he's trying to make sense of them. But man, what very bad logic here. But anyway, it's kind of funny. Let me read it again. Okay. And if you fear that you will not deal fairly by the orphans, and if you fear that you will not preserve the orphans' wealth, you should also fear not dealing fairly with women. So it's saying if you're afraid that you're not going to deal fairly with the orphan girls, then also fear that you won't treat women right. But that's not what the Quran says. It says if you fear that you're not going to treat the orphans right, then marry a bunch of women. That's what it says. If you fear you're not going to deal right with the orphans, then in Arabic it says inkahu ma taba lakum min nisa. And the word, you guys, is not marry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that to use. I'm not going to use the word in the Arabic. I use the inkahu. That comes from the word nikah. It does not come from the word marriage. Marriage is zawaj. Zoj. Okay. Ijawaz is how to say marry. Inkah means to just have the sexual act. It says, so if you're afraid you're not going to be fair with the orphan girl, if you go with the plain Arabic, inkahu ma taba lakum. Have sex with as many women as you want. 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Mathna, thalath, aw arba. It doesn't say 1. It says 2 or 3 or 2 and 3 and 4, which is 9, which is how many Muhammad had. So this is a very pathetic route from these orphan girls to these women that you're going to marry. It's a very illogical, twisted route to get from these orphan girls to these women. And it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing to explain what is the connection between these orphan girls and these women that you can marry as many as you want. 2 or 3, 2 and 3 and 4. So that's the cousin of Muhammad. If anybody was going to know it, it's going to be him. And he did not know it. Okay. Here's another one. This is Asbab bin Nuzul. Asbab bin Nuzul is the reason for the revelation. Let's see if they are supposed to give you the explanation. Why did this verse come down? Okay. And so here's the explanation. If you fear that you will not act justly towards the orphans, marry such women as seems good to you, 2 or 3 or 4. So this does absolutely nothing. Absolutely zilch. Zero. Nada. It tells you nothing. It doesn't at all help. In fact, it just looks like it's just quoting the Quran verbatim. If you fear you will not act justly towards the orphans, marry such women as seems good to you. It's almost like, you know what? If you're afraid that you don't have enough money in the bank to pay for your rent, go and buy a bunch of cars, or stuff that just absolutely doesn't make sense. If you fear you'll not act justly with the orphans, then marry, and it doesn't say marry either. It says inkahu, have sex with the women, mataba lakum, that you like, that you're able, 2 and 3 and 4. So it doesn't make sense, and this did absolutely nothing to help us understand better. Okay, now this next one's a little bit long. Sorry about this. Okay, this is a Suyuti. Now I know you guys know Suyuti is very highly regarded. He wrote a very famous book. His book, when you look at the different commentaries in QuranX.com, one of them is Jalalain Suyuti. Jalaluddin Suyuti is one of the. Jalalain means the two Jalals. The two Jalals. Jalalain. If it was two Steves, you say Stephen, not Stephen. Stephen. If you're talking about two figs, you say no. Let's see. Hajar, two rocks. Hajarin. Okay, two houses, beitin. Whenever you say in at the end, it means two. Okay, so Jalalain means two Jalals, and one of the Jalals is Jalaluddin Suyuti, which is this guy, Suyuti, very, very highly regarded. And let's see if he can bring some light into this situation. It says, and if you fear that you will not be just with the orphans, and you are hesitant about their situation, and you also fear that you will not be just with the women if you marry them, then marry those women who please you. Yo, boy, yeah. You know what? You can't blame them. Don't make fun of these guys. This is what they got in the Quran, and they're stuck with it. And they got to try to make sense of this. They got to try to make something. This is very clear, you guys. Please do not be denying the clarity. The Quran is very clear and detailed. Let me read that again, just because that, it'd be nice to have musical accompaniment when I'm reading this, but I don't have any musical instruments with me now. Let me read it again. And if you fear that you will not be just with the orphans, and you are hesitant about their situation, and you also fear that you will not be just with the women if you marry them, then marry those women. Who please you. Yo, boy, yay. Marry those women who please you. 2, 3, or 4. That is 2 by 2, 3 by 3, or 4 by 4. Now, I do not think, please don't twist the words here and stick in there a 2 by 4. It says nothing about 2 by 4. Okay. It says 2 by 2, 3 by 3, or 4 by 4. And do not, please hear this, you guys. This is the most important part. Do not exceed that. Like, don't go marry 10 women. 9 is enough. 2 by 2, 3 by 3, or 4 by 4. And do not exceed that. But if you fear that you will not be just, okay, then just 1. Okay. Or limit yourself to those whom you possess. Your right hand of the slave women, since they do not have the same rights as wives. Yeah, but yeah, that meant marrying only 4 or 1 or taking a concubine is more likely to prevent you from being unjust. Yeah, but yeah, ya Rasi. Yeah, but yeah. My goodness. What the heck is this saying? You guys, because Suyuti is so famous, let me just repeat this again. Just the first part, just because this is when you're stuck with this verse in the Quran, and you are trusted to shed some light on what it means. I mean, what else are you going to do with a verse like this? You know, let's read this again. And if you fear that you will not be just with the orphans, what the heck does that mean? What does this have to do with anything? And you are hesitant about their situation. And you also fear that you will not be just with the women if you marry them. What women? Who are these women? If you fear you'll not be just with the women, then marry the women that please you. Then marry them. 2, 3, or 4, which is not what it says. It says 2 and 3 and 4. That is 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 4 by 4. And do not exceed that. That's so important, you guys. Do not exceed that. But if you fear that you will not be just with them in terms of maintenance and division, then marry only one. Or limit yourself to those whom you own, your slaves, sex slaves. Yabaye, yabaye, yabaye. Why would any woman in the world become a Muslim? Why would any woman in the world become a Muslim? No woman should ever be a Muslim. No woman should ever be a Muslim. Rasi Maksur. Yeah, but yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we can get any more light cast into this darkness. Okay, now this is Jalalain. Remember, we talked about Jalalain. If you fear that you will not act justly, that you will not be equitable towards the orphans, and are thus distressed in this matter, then also fear lest you be unjust towards women when you marry them. Marry such women as seem good to you, 2 or 3 or 4. So if you fear you'll not be just towards the orphans, and thus are distressed by this matter, then also be distressed about the fact that you may not be just towards women when you marry them. And marry such women as seems good to you. The logic escapes me. If there's somebody here who can understand this, if there's somebody who has insight into this, please, we welcome you to come and explain this to us. I tell you what, I had respect for Jalaluddin Asyuti before tonight. But that explanation he came up with, just kind of threw it all out the window. Okay, now you guys, this last thing that I'm going to show you is from Wiki Islam. Wiki Islam is a great resource which is made by ex-Muslims, and it has explanations of a lot of things. And so let's just look at what they have to say, because they have some insight into this. Okay. It is clear that the ayah is not in any way about paying an underage child the dowry justly, but about fulfilling one's sexual needs. But why would fulfilling sexual needs scare a man as long as he marries the orphan child legally? Yabaye, yabaye. Oh my. So this is our worst fear about this verse. This is our worst fear about this verse. You know, what is our worst fear about this verse? I'll tell you what my worst fear about this verse was. that the orphan girls are the women that they're going to marry. That was my worst fear about this verse. Somebody wants to come and tell me that I'm wrong about that, I'd be very happy to hear it. Like I said, this verse brings me no joy. It makes me sad. It makes me so sad because it uses words with meaning. It joins them together in a way that is it like a kick in the face, a kick in the gut. And even if you're to ignore the whole orphan thing, even if you, the injustice towards these orphan girls, the injustice towards the 2 or 3 or 4 women that you marry, the injustice towards the slave girls, 3 different class of women, females in this verse that are all thrown under the bus. They're all thrown under the bus. If you're an orphan, you're thrown under the bus. If you're a woman, marriageable woman, you're thrown under the bus. If you're right-hand possession, a slave, sex slave, slave girl, you're thrown under the bus. Everybody's thrown under the bus. 3 groups of women to throw under the bus. No woman should ever be a Muslim. Women, if you are Muslim, please leave Islam today. Come to Jesus. You know, the Jews came to Jesus and said, is it permissible for a man to divorce his wife? And Jesus said, and they said, you know, because Moses said, just give her a piece of paper, a bill of divorcement, and you can divorce her. And Jesus said, yeah, Moses did that because your hearts were so hard. God kind of just gave in to, I mean, his character didn't change, but they were going to do what they want. And so Jesus said, because of the hardness of their heart, God gave in. He said, go ahead, even though that wasn't his will. But Jesus went back before Moses and said, but from the beginning, it was not so. For God made them male and female. One man and one woman. And he said, what God has joined together, let no man pull apart. And so, you know, Jesus took it back to the way it's supposed to be. Women, that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, there's a scene in Ali Dawah's Ali Dawah's Hard Truths, is it, or The Bitter Truth? You know, he had that program, The Bitter Truth, you have like 4 men on one side and then 4 women on the other side. And then there was that one woman who was married, and they're all hijabis. And this woman says, she's asked, you know, do you have a problem with the fact that men are allowed to have 2 or 3 or 4 women? And she says, well, I just want to be obedient to Allah. I just want to be obedient to Allah, you know, and Allah wants that, you know, and my husband has needs. And I don't want to be selfish and just want him all to myself. She said that. So I don't want to be selfish and have him all to myself. But you know what? That is the way God ordained it. It's the way God created it. And in the New Testament, unlike in the Quran, the Bible says that the woman's body does not belong to her, it belongs to her husband. And you think, oh, wait a minute, the man owns a woman's body? But then it says, and the man's body doesn't belong to himself, it belongs to the wife. So they own each other, you know? And so that's the way the Bible says it. But the Quran says this, you know? And every time I tell you what, man, you guys, this topic always breaks my heart. I get so sad whenever I talk about the Surah 4 of the Quran. It always breaks my heart because I know that there are women suffering because of this. And I got lots of relatives, and I'm very sad. This brings me no pleasure. I'm not making fun of this. It breaks my heart. It's so sad. So let's look here. It says, okay, look. This is what Wiki Islam says. Why would fulfilling sexual needs scare a man as long as he marries the orphan child legally? Ya boye, ya boye, ya boye, ya boye. Who are those orphans? They are not the orphan stepdaughters of the man. For the Quran strictly forbids having intercourse with both the woman and her daughters. Okay, this brings us to another topic. I mean, this right here. So they're saying that these are not the daughters, these orphan girls, for instance, are not the daughters of the woman that these 2 or 3 or 4 women that they're going to marry. Why? Because they're not allowed to have sex with both the wife and the daughter, the mother and the daughter. Now, if the man, according to Quran 4:23, if the man is married to the mother, but he has not consummated the marriage yet, and then he sees the daughter and he likes the daughter better, he is allowed to marry the daughter and have sex with her. But he cannot have sex with both the mother and the daughter. Yo, boy, you guys read the Quran and leave Islam if you are a Muslim today. No woman should be a Muslim. They are not free orphan children in any way, for it's not illegal to marry a child, regardless of her age, as it's seen on Muhammad and Aisha, or Omar and Ali's daughter Kulthum's marriage, etc. So, child marriage is permitted in Islam. And if you're a Muslim, leave Islam today. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at us. Leave Islam. Come to the Lord Jesus, who values you and died for you and loves you. Ya Rabbi. After eliminating the other possibility by the help of the facts above, the only possibility left is these are the man's maid's orphan children. Yabaye, 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 yabaye. Okay, you guys. So the Quran again, very clear book. And like the Quran says, a book fully detailed. You know how many ways you can twist this verse to justify whatever you want. These 3 groups of girls, females described in this verse: the orphan girls, the married women, or the women that are you want to marry, and the slave girls. 3 groups of girls. All of them are thrown under the bus. All of them. My goodness. If you're a woman, please leave Islam today. Come to the Lord Jesus. Say, Lord Jesus, please help me. Lord Jesus, please forgive me. Lord Jesus, please come into my heart. He loves you. He will come into your heart and he will never leave you. And he loves you and he values you. Okay. You know, last night I wanted to play a song for you. It's a song that I recorded. I didn't actually record it like in a studio. I just played it at home, but I had just learned how to play the guitar. And it's a song by Petra. It's called Judas Kiss. And so I'm going to play that. And then we'll end this for today. Okay, let me see if I can do this right. Okay. Okay.
I wonder how it makes you feel when the prodigal won't come home. I wonder how it makes you feel when he'd rather be on his own. I wonder what it's like for you when a lamb has gone astray. I wonder what it's like for you when your children disobey. It must be like another thorn stuck in your brow. It must be like another close friend's broken vow. It must be like another nail right to your wrist. It must be just like Judas Kiss. I wonder what it's like for you when you no one sees your face. I wonder what it's like for you when they give up in the race. I wonder what it's like for you when they willingly disobey. I wonder what it's like for you when they willingly walk away. It must be like another thorn stuck in your brow. It must be like another close friend's broken vow. It must be like another nail right through your wrist. It must be just like Judas Kiss.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
Now we know
that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.